A Mossad agent has confessed his role in the assassination of John Lennon in 1980 as part of a joint agency operation to protect the elite paedophilia and blackmail web. He says by 1980, Lennon had become a liability to people operating far above governments, record labels and intelligence agencies. Behind the glamour of the global entertainment machine, Lennon uncovered something monstrous. A hidden network built on blackmail, corruption, and secrets powerful enough to bring empires down. He kept the files, names, recordings, evidence. And according to FBI files, he was preparing to expose everything publicly. That's when the Mossad-CIA joint agency operation began. A fractured loner from the MKUltra program was selected as the perfect fall guy. Psychologically manipulated, programmed to play a role he barely understood himself. New York became the stage. The Dakota building became the altar. And on a cold December night, the most famous musician on Earth was executed in front of the world. Officially, the case was closed within hours. But decades later, a dying intelligence operative delivers a final confession. And when you hear the raw, gut-wrenching truth straight from his deathbed, you'll finally understand why they had to move against him so fast and so brutally. Before we dive in, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join the People's Voice Locals community to join our incredible community, support the channel, and gain access to exclusive and uncensored content. In the same week that Israel welcomed even more accused paedophiles under its right to return law, and the Israeli Knesset moved to legalise paedophilia as a protected Jewish cultural practice, and as Benjamin Netanyahu gaslights Americans into financing Israel for the rest of time, something enormous just dropped into the ether. Another Mossad insider has stepped forward with a bombshell confession. He claims John Lennon wasn't just murdered, he was silenced, because he got too close to the truth. But before we dive into that explosive admission, let's rewind and examine Lennon's own trail of clues. Go back to 1966, and the original Yesterday and Today album cover, the infamous butcher cover. The Beatles, dressed in blood-stained butcher smocks, surrounded by dismembered babies and raw slabs of meat being cured to become what the Epstein class called beef jerky. Official story? Just avant-garde art. Just a protest against how record companies butchered their albums. But those on the inside understood that in reality it was something far darker. It was a barely veiled message from a man who was already seeing behind the curtain, who knew the elite's crimes, and was sending a message to the sadists and evil paedophiles at the top of the entertainment industry.
So John has to switch the TV to another channel or something whenever I see a child, because these days I just can't stand seeing a child, you know.
Mm-hmm. And it comes out every night in nightmares, you know. I mean, it really does. If we work all day so to not think about it, it has to come out somewhere, and it comes out every night about 5 o'clock.
Protecting children from the predators in positions of power over humanity became John's private obsession. His investigation alerted him to the authorities, who profiled him for years, before the elite decided to take him out. When it happened exactly the way it always does. They didn't send in a clean shooter, they used a programmed asset, a mind-controlled patsy. Think about it. Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald and Jack Ruby, Sirhan Sirhan, Ted Kaczynski, Timothy McVeigh, Tyler Robinson. Over and over again, the pattern repeats. Lone wolves who don't quite add up. Men who are conveniently nearby, with conveniently bizarre backstories, and conveniently weak alibis. The Manchurian Candidate wasn't fiction, it was a blueprint.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tom Brokaw. This is today, December 9th. I'm here with Jane Pauley, and this entire half hour will be devoted to the murder of John Lennon, ex-Beatle, one of the best-known musicians and most influential people of his time. Lennon was shot and killed at about 11 o'clock last night outside his apartment building. News of the Lennon shooting, of course, spread quickly around the world. NBC News correspondent Stephen Frazier tells what happened last night on Manhattan's West Side.
Witnesses told police Lennon was shot near the door to his apartment building as he and Yoko Ono returned from a recording studio.
I saw John and Yoko get out of the limousine. They walked into the gate, and oh God, let me take your time. And then I heard four or five shots. They were ear-shattering.
Lennon's building is home for many celebrities. Strangers waiting for a glimpse of some resident are not uncommon. The man accused of shooting Lennon dropped his gun afterward and waited for police to arrive. A detective who questioned him at a nearby police station said he is Mark Chapman, a 25-year-old Hawaiian who has been in New York 1 week.
Mark David Chapman fit the profile of a classic Manchurian candidate. He was vacant and detached after the shooting, when instead of fleeing, he calmly sat down outside the Dakota building and began reading The Catcher in the Rye as police closed in around him. The book wasn't just an obsession, it was a trigger, a psychological key tied to covert mind control experiments linked to Project MKUltra. Chapman also released contradictory statements, reports of disassociation, and made the revelation that he felt like a nobody being controlled by something larger than himself. He wasn't wrong.
We're being asked to believe almost that the bullets came through John in a direct line of fire, and then somehow 3 of them dive-bombed. With a revolver, so this is not an automatic, so it's bang, bang, bang. How would he not move? I think Mark Chapman was potentially shooting a gun or thinking he was shooting a gun, possibly blanks, possibly not. It was highly likely there was a second shooter.
The exact circumstances of John Lennon's death over 40 years ago have been widely debated. Now, this man, TV producer and writer David Whelan, says he is certain the man who was jailed in 1981 for the murder couldn't possibly have done it, and he's got the evidence to back it up.
And do you think we'll ever know the truth about who shot John Lennon?
No.
The prosecution's version of events, accepted by the courts, held that Chapman shot 5 times, 4 of his bullets hitting his victim in the back. This now appears to be riddled with contradictions.
Mark Chapman has always stated, from the day he was arrested to now, that he shot John 4 times in the back. It's almost certain that John was shot in the front. From where John was and where Mark Chapman was, from all evidence and all witness statements, it's almost impossible for Mark Chapman to shoot John 4 times in the upper left chest area with 3 passing out in a direct line of fire. The post-mortem's never been released because Yoko, for privacy reasons, doesn't want to release it. There's a couple of conflicting things about the post-mortem. At the press conference that Elliot Gross gave, he intimated that John was shot 2 times in the back and 2 times in the left shoulder, which is where I think the John was shot in the back sort of legend was cemented. But if you look at a death certificate that can be found online, which isn't verified by the way, but it looks pretty authentic to me, it says that John was shot in the chest. And that came from Elliot Gross as well.
The official narrative around Lennon's murder falls apart under scrutiny. Medical staff who treated Lennon reportedly described wounds suggesting he was shot from close range from the front, not from 25 yards behind, where Mark David Chapman was standing.
It's like a rugby scrum, several nurses and anesthetists that's putting a tube in his throat for us to breathe for him. People cutting off his clothes. I always thought he was shot in the front, shot 4 times with 3 exit wounds in the back.
I have to maintain that he was shot in the chest. I can't change what I said I knew to be true.
I think Mark Chapman was potentially shooting a gun or thinking he was shooting a gun, possibly blanks, possibly not. I think Mark Chapman thinks he's done something he couldn't have possibly have done. Therefore, the only conclusion I can come to is there might have been a second shooter, or it was highly likely there was a second shooter in the vestibule area, on the stairs, shooting John in a close group pattern in his upper left chest area. When I spoke to the doctors and nurses at the time who treated John and they saw his wounds many times, they all agree that whoever shot John was very close to him and standing in front 1 or 2 feet away. And they managed to achieve a very professional grouping above John's left chest area, above his heart. It's almost impossible for Mark Chapman to do that from where he was. And it was dark. He was 20, 25 feet away from John. It's a disturbing, troubling assessment. I'm well aware of that, but I can see no other way John's wounds can be achieved.
Don't go anywhere. When we come back, a Mossad deathbed confession that blows the official story wide open. The second shooter on the scene, the MKUltra handler, and the powerful paedophile network Lennon was threatening to expose. You've never heard it told like this. Back in a minute. Think the healthiest thing in your pantry right now is some overpriced superfood? Wrong. It's actually olive oil. Yeah, that bottle you've got sitting in your cupboard isn't just for cooking, it's a weapon to help you look and feel younger inside and out. No big pharma potions, just nature's real deal. Dr. Stephen Gundry, a rogue surgeon who's done with the system, says high-quality olive oil is a game changer. The problem is the industry is a cesspool. Nearly all brands in stores are watered-down junk, pushed for profit, not your health. Dr. Gundry has had enough. He's exposing the real truth about olive oil with a free video for viewers of this channel. He'll show you how to spot the real stuff that works wonders for your body with just a few tablespoons. This isn't hype, it's the truth they don't want you to know about. Visit getolive1.com/TPV, the link's below. I've watched his free video and the information blew me away. If you're genuinely interested in changing your life with olive oil, go to getolive1.com/TPV now. You won't regret it. Mark David Chapman was far from the first Manchurian candidate in American history. The past is littered with them. Broken men, programmed patsies, and convenient lone nuts who somehow always advance the right agenda. Ask yourself, whose interest did they really serve? Who benefited every single time? The answer is more disturbing than most people dare to think.
Why would the government program American citizens to murder other American citizens?
Well, that's the question. So
you have documented projects called MKUltra and other kind of variations of mind control, creating splits and multiple personalities, couriers and spies, Manchurian candidates, assassinate world leaders.
They use whoever they could get their hands on, hypnotizing them, brain electrode implants, electric shock, creating the super spy.
This stuff is shocking.
The U.S. Army released a list of 120-ish different drugs that had been used for mind control testing. 1,500 people times 120 different drugs. It's a lot of people, right?
It's a lot of people.
When you get into the documents, you find out this guy is connected to this guy is connected to that guy. It's this whole network.
Lee Harvey Oswald, who's the supposed lone gunman, probably wasn't the lone gunman when it comes to assassinating JFK. Jack Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald, so he probably was an MKUltra patient before having shot Lee Harvey Oswald. Who doesn't remember shooting somebody? Sirhan, to this day, says that he has no recollection of having shot RFK.
Well, what do you remember about the shooting, if you're willing to talk about that?
Obviously I was there. But I don't remember the exact moment. I don't remember pulling my gun.
And then you have a guy like McVeigh, who's an MKUltra patient. Manson, who's an MKUltra patient. These people are committing horrific acts.
You think that my mind is like your mind, but it isn't.
This is really creepy. I wonder if the same thing happened with Epstein.
The thing is, it's not just some crazy conspiracy theory. It's actually possible.
It's not just possible. It's undeniable. The patterns are there. Clear, consistent, and impossible to ignore for anyone willing to look. John Lennon saw those patterns when most people looked the other way. He connected the dots. He started speaking out. And that awareness cost him everything.
Listen, if you're hearing this, I'm already gone. My name doesn't matter anymore. I was with the Mossad for 32 years, handled the dirty work nobody wants on paper. And I helped kill John Lennon. The FBI had been watching him since '72, maybe earlier. The files were thick, wiretaps, mail intercepts, undercover assets at his parties. He wasn't just singing about peace and love. He was waking kids up, turning them against the whole machine, the endless wars, the money men, the elites who really run things. And yeah, he started naming names, talking about Israel and the lobbies pulling strings in Washington, the kids going missing. That scared people. The decision wasn't made in '80. It was made years before. We just waited for the right moment, the right patsy. Mark Chapman was useful, programmed, suggestible, the kind of lonely guy we could steal. I was part of the support team. We got him the gun, made sure security at the Dakota was looking the other way that night. I was across the street when it happened. 5 shots, clean, efficient. John went down and the world got its scripted story. Deranged fan shot him in the back. Bullshit. He was shot from the front, point blank range. 4 entry wounds, clustered just above the heart, exactly the way we were trained to do it. 2 to the chest, center mass, followed by 2 more to make sure. This was a professional execution, clean, controlled, and carried out at close range, face to face. The real reason? John had started digging too deep. He was asking questions about the kids, the ones getting passed around at those exclusive parties in New York and LA. Powerful men, politicians, record executives, old money. He wasn't naive anymore. One of his people even told us he was trying to connect dots on a network that reached higher than anyone wanted. You don't investigate that and stay alive. Not in this world. I followed orders. Told myself it was for the greater good, that he was destabilizing everything. But I knew. Even then, I knew. All these years, the nightmares never stopped. His voice on the radio, Yoko's scream, the blood on the pavement. I traded my soul for a paycheck and a pat on the head from men who never lost sleep. If there's any mercy left, God, take this confession. I was a coward. We murdered a man who just wanted people to imagine something better. And the machine kept rolling right over him. Right over all of us. I'm sorry, John. I'm damn sorry.
For those of you who struggle to accept that a powerful paedophile ring exists, let me take it one step further. We're talking about a ruling cabal that has controlled humanity for thousands of years. An ancient network that still practices the same dark rites and rituals of the Babylonians and the Mesopotamians. Child sacrifice, ritual abuse, and elite blood rites disguised under new names. If that sounds too extreme, just open your Bible. Ask yourself why the Old Testament warns repeatedly over and over again against sacrificing children to false gods. Why does it condemn it so fiercely and so often? Because it was happening then, and it's still happening now. Just look at the entertainment industry and the elite circles of our own time. Jeffrey Epstein and his network, including Woody Allen, Ellen DeGeneres and Leonardo DiCaprio, refer to human meat from children as beef jerky in their communications. Those in positions of power and fame have always faced the same deadly choice. Stay silent, or start digging into the truth. Look at what happened to the ones who chose to investigate deeper. Chester Bennington, Chris Cornell, Avicii, Anne Heche, Anthony Bourdain. All of them were vocal about child trafficking and elite abuse. All of them were getting louder. And every single one of them ended up dead under circumstances that still don't add up. And the disturbing fact is that John wasn't the first member of the Beatles to be silenced.
November 9th, 1966. Paul McCartney storms out of Abbey Road Studios after a heated argument with John Lennon. He jumps into his Aston Martin and speeds into the London night. Hours later, his car is found wrapped around a tree, the driver decapitated beyond recognition. The most beloved member of the world's biggest band is dead at 24. But here's the thing. Paul McCartney is very much alive today, still performing, still writing music. So what really happened that night? According to one of the most persistent conspiracy theories in pop culture history, the Paul McCartney who died in 1966 was secretly replaced by a lookalike. And the Beatles spent years hiding clues about the cover-up in their songs and album covers. Could the Fab Four have pulled off the greatest deception in entertainment history?
If you're doing your own research and digging into dangerous topics like this online, you need to be protected. Legacy VPNs? Forget it. Proton? It's literally funded by the World Economic Forum and European Union. Let that sink in. Express, Nord, Surfshark, they all keep logs. They all cave to warrants. They're all headquartered in 5949 countries that will hand your IP over faster than you can blink. You need something that's impossible to betray you. That's VP.net, the world's first trustless VPN. No central servers they can raid, no logs they can seize because there's nothing to seize. It runs on blockchain nodes spread across thousands of independent operators. Even if the entire US government demands your data, there's nobody to hand it over to. It's mathematically impossible to de-anonymize you. No logs, no backdoors, no subpoenas that ever get answered. vp.net/TPV. One click and you're gone. Smart people are already there. See you on the other side.